Broadcasting from Watts Creative Studios and live on Grove Street FM. You're listening to Talk Local to Me, brought to you by the Central Virginia Business Coalition.
Good afternoon, everyone. You know, sometimes I get caught up in my music. I'm over here just jamming to my intro song. You know, Woody, good job on that.
Yeah, but here you go.
Oh,
Here's
great.
the cool part.
Oh, see, I don't even get to hear the cool part. You just leave me hanging. I just start talking. People, they probably want to just hear the cool part instead of me talking.
We'll release a Talk Local to Me soundtrack one day. It'll be one song.
There will not be Heather singing either. Because nobody wants to hear that. No, but good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Talk Local to Me. And we are going to be talking today. I'm really excited about my guest today because if you've ever played any like game systems, anything like that in your life, you're gonna want to hear what I have to talk with Ben about today from Press Start Tech and Games. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me here.
I'm excited to talk to you, and we're gonna talk about your business, and then I'm gonna be talking with both you and Woody about just some different like small business trend stuff that I have been listening in on today. But first of all, I'm going to say something. You know what today is, Woody?
What is today?
Today, and I don't usually do the whole national whatever day it is thing every show, but today is National Hot Dog Day.
That's right. Yes.
And I feel like we should talk about that because I know hot dogs and I don't even want to know what they're made of. So don't, for anyone out there that's wants to call in and tell me, I don't care.
They're made out of comfort.
They are. Ben, yes, they are made out of comfort. I love my hot dogs. So, I was super excited when I heard it was National Hot Dog Day. Now, I don't think I'm going to get past my husband and be like, here's dinner. There's some hot dogs out tonight. But no, I'm actually, I know what we're having tonight. I just went and got and this is off topic and it's my ADHD kicking in, but I just went yesterday and got like one of those mini beef boxes from Chapel Creek Farms. And so I just got like 40 pounds of fresh meat from them. And I got their like pre-pattied hamburgers. So that's what I'm having for dinner. I guess I could throw some hot dogs in there, hot dogs and hamburgers.
You could.
I may just do that. I made 2 hot dogs. I'm just throwing them on the grill.
Yeah, why not?
But I will give a quick shout out because you know I'm doing the shout outs. But I don't know if you've been to Papa O's Doghouse at the backyard in Forest.
I've heard about it.
So
I've heard it's fantastic.
It is fantastic, and I want to give him a shout out, not for the hot dogs so much because he also owns Papa O's Pizza, which is on Forest Road too, a little ways down. The pizza is fabulous. Let me just say, and their customer service is like. Also, bar none, really good customer service when you call in. But yesterday, so they're new members of ours. They joined along with about 6 or 7 other food trucks from the backyard. All joined this past Monday. So I called him yesterday because I had my delegate meeting, which is my volunteer group. And I called and I was like, hey, you know, I need to order 3 pizzas and some cheese sticks. And, you know, how much is that going to be? And he was like, that is going to be $0 because we're going to donate it to you. And I thought that was so nice of him. So that's my shout out of the week is
nice,
to Papa O's Pizza. Go support a small local business. It's not a chain. It is small local pizza company with great pizza. Fabulous cheese sticks. If you like some cheese sticks, man, those are good. And he even brought like 2 liters of drink and plates and cups and like 20 buckets of, not buckets, but those little containers of ranch dressing in case people wanted to eat ranch. And like most people charge you 70 cents a cup for ranch. So anyway, shout out to Papa O's. So
well done, Papa.
And check out the Papa O's Doghouse too. Their hot dogs are really good. So one other quick mention in dealing with hot dogs, our Christmas in July event is this Saturday, July 23rd. And our food truck is the Dirty Water Dogs. So Dirty Water Dogs, they sell hot dogs and they sell nachos, but they pride themselves on their hot dogs. They have all different types of hot dogs and combinations you can put together to your liking. So July 23rd, this Saturday, 10 to 3 at the barn at Spring Groves Lane Farm. That's 7777 Virginia Byway. It's a lot of sevens. Virginia Byway in Bedford. And we have over 40 vendors. And isn't your wife one of them?
I believe so.
I believe she is, Woody.
Possibly.
I'm almost
99.9%
positive.
Maybe.
That she
might be too hot for her candles, though.
I think she's indoors, isn't she?
That's right. It's indoors. Bless y'all.
Well, part of it's indoors. We had outdoor vendors and indoor vendors.
Right.
I'm pretty sure she's an indoor vendor. I'm going to go back and look. If she's not, I'm going to make her an indoor vendor. I have indoor space open,
Okay.
so I'll transfer. It's going to be like 99 degrees.
Yeah, it's gonna be toasty.
So I am.
Perfect weather for a hot dog.
I'm really feeling sad for the outdoor
really, like
vendors.
a good lunch. Like that's like the perfect grab and go at a vending thing when it's
Mhm.
hot. Just like give me a dog.
I wish because it was Christmas in July, I wish I could pump like some snow around us to like
Yeah.
make it cool, but I don't know
Do
how
bubbles.
to do that.
You could do some bubbles. Little
Yeah.
bubble machine.
We could. Well, we're gonna have bounce houses. We're gonna have, like I said, food trucks. The new I think he's called Pop's Good Humor ice cream truck. He's gonna be there with his ice cream, and then the big guy himself is coming to
He's making an appearance.
he's going to make an appearance. He's coming out from vacation to make an appearance, and you can actually choose right now. Callie Peterson Photography is going to be doing like Christmas mini pictures with Santa. So I think it's $50 and you get like 5 or 6 different photos. So if you want like those unique Christmas card photos ahead of time, be kind of cool to come out and get one now. So you can do that here. Anyway, that's it. That's it for my event plugs for today. And I'm already tired of talking. So no, I'm just kidding. I'm never tired of talking. But I want to head into our guest. So Ben, I'm so happy to have you here. I was really excited when I even saw that you guys were opening up the store in our area. And so to just start off, for those listening, what is Press Start Tech and Games? What is it all about?
So Press Start Tech and Games, we're about bringing you some nostalgia. We're about just finding a way to unwind, to get away. I feel like everything is so plugged in now. Everything is, I mean, it's cool to be connected and everything's all intertwined, and you have your ecosystems, your Apple ecosystems. And when it comes to games, like Microsoft is trying to kind of buy out everything where you have like a subscription and you get access to everything online, like Netflix, but for games, which is cool. But I think there's just something about, you have to get your old television and plug it in, and you can only play with someone sitting right next beside you. You can't play on the internet. And I don't know. It's just, I think it's a really cool way to connect with people. It's a cool way to remember stuff you played growing up. Not to be too stereotypical, but just the way they did things in the good old days, and to do it affordably, and have good customer service, and to relate with people, and to give people a place that there's something they're passionate about that maybe they don't think is very common, and they can meet other people that are into the same kind of thing, and just to give them a place to be and to enjoy. So
now I realize I'm old. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. I'm middle age. Let's put it that way. But for me, I don't play the Xbox 360s or the PlayStation. What are they up to now? 6, 5,
5.
Okay, because I don't necessarily. I'm. It's kind of like you said. I don't want to be playing with someone across the country that I have no idea. It's more fun to beat the. Can I say crap on the radio? Okay, well, I said it.
Yeah, I'll talk to the owner, the station owner. So.
Okay, perfect. It's not even the radio. Can I say crap on the podcast? So anyway, I'd rather sit there and beat the crap out of my husband, playing, like you said, Double Dragon or something fun from the olden days.
Right.
And see, look, he's calling right now. He knows I'm talking about him. He's like, oh, I want to. Anyway, so I think that's way more fun than playing with somebody I don't know. And let's be honest, with kids these days and stuff, you don't know who you're playing with too, and that creeps me out a little bit. But I'm also just not tech savvy, so I'd rather have that old school Nintendo where I have to blow the cartridge 7 times and stick it in there to get it to work.
Yep.
So now let's talk a bit. What made you guys start like a brick and mortar? Because I think you said at first we were out there talking that you originally were selling online.
Right. So everything kind of started just me, myself, it being something I did on the side out of my basement. I was driving for Uber and just wanted something that was also equally as flexible that I could just tie in when I had spare time, and just started selling some stuff around the house. And then that went pretty well. So then I would kind of scour Marketplace and Craigslist and yard sales and try to find stuff to sell on eBay. And it just kind of kept going on to the next thing and on to the next thing. It was doing well. So I got a little office, hired a couple people to help me out so we could do more stuff. And it the big catalyst to getting a physical location was we started putting up ads for people to sell us things, because we were only selling on eBay, but we were trying to find more ways to cut out some of the work of me trying to find everything myself. And we had so many people saying, hey, do you also have a store? Do you have a store? Can I come and look at what you have? And be like, yeah, sorry, like it's just an office. We're not really set up that way. And we just had enough interest, and it was something that I had been interested in. I'd done some events before. Not that, it's the same as having a store, but I'd done some events and interact with people physically with like game tournaments, and saw, I think, some of the potential of the passion in those kind of communities, and the people that are into it are really into it, and they're really willing to buy into something. And also knowing from my experience of looking for stuff that there's just not really anything like that locally. So there's, the closest any other than GameStop, which really isn't a retro game store, the closest option is Roanoke.
Okay.
So there's a place called Game Junkies there that some people would go to. So I just knew there was a lot of opportunity. It seemed like there was a lot of interest, and we wanted to give it a shot. And it's been going really well so far, and it's been a lot of fun.
So I know I actually kind of done the same thing you did. I used to sell stuff on eBay a lot. I did more of like the clothing, like I went more towards like the clothing section, like, just whatever, buying and selling. And, I actually had thought about opening up something, there's a lot of kids consignment shops around here.
Right.
So for a small business though, and I'm gonna be honest, and I sit here and I promote small business, but it scares the heck out of me to make that leap into, starting my own business. So was that something you kind of were worried about as well, especially like with the economy and like the way with COVID and everything going on?
So it's a double-edged sword. It definitely cuts both ways. It on one hand, there's a lot less risk when it's just you doing it out of your basement, because you can only, if you have another source of income, you can just only do it when you have free time. You only do it when it's going to make money. If there's not a lot of inventory or things slow down, then, well, that's fine. You can just put more time into what else isn't your side hustles, which me would have been Uber. So yeah, there's definitely that challenge of once you get to a certain scale, you have to commit. And then once you're committed, then, that you start to also, you're putting more into it, but you also have to rely on it more. So then when things are slow, it's challenging. The funny thing with COVID is I think the timing when I started doing eBay a lot was kind of right around 2020.
Okay.
So although the economy was taking a hit, everything was online. So things were kind of going gangbusters on eBay initially, which was really cool. Kind of gave us a lot of opportunity to expand very quickly. And I think that we found some cool ways to intertwine the two. So in a lot of ways, eBay is kind of a good fallback. If we get 10 of the same system and we can't really move them in the store well, we have a shipping, everything's still set up because we've been doing it for 2 years. So we can still kind of lean on that to, kind of weather some of the slow seasons we're going to have in store, which is pretty cool.
So, all right, let's talk about what you have in the store. What are some of the types of game systems? What if someone were to walk in today, what would they see when they walk into Press Start Tech and Games?
So they would see, we kind of have the big four not really genres, but I guess brands, companies. I don't know what word to use. What I think of is we have everything Sega, we have Nintendo, we have PlayStation and Xbox. We have a small section of computer gaming. We're kind of feeling out the demand for that and how much you want to keep that be an aspect of it. So with those four big ones, we try to have at least one of every system you can think of. So for Sega, there's not as many because they kind of died out making systems. So we have, for example, the Sega Genesis, the Sega Saturn, and the Sega Dreamcast, and the Sega Game Gear, which is their handheld kind of version of the Game Boy. So we try to make sure system-wise we have at least one of every generation. So no matter what era you grew up in playing, we're going to have the ability to buy a console and at least a decent amount of games. And then we have all the way up to the newest stuff as well. I have different ways with online wholesalers and hunting maybe some bulk eBay lots to try to keep at least a little bit of everything in stock.
So I'm one of those people, like, I hate change. I really do. And so, like, one of the very first systems, or probably the only system I could say that I used religiously, like, was my favorite, was the original Nintendo game system. And then they moved to the Super Nintendo and the GameCube. I don't know which one came first.
It's Super Nintendo, then Nintendo 64, then GameCube. Yeah.
Okay. So as soon as they moved to the newer system, I mean, I revolted. I was like, I don't want to do it. I kept my old one. And I can honestly say, like, I don't know which one is the better system because I just refuse to move. But do you find that there's people that are kind of more what's the word I'm looking for? Like they like a certain system better than the others, and like so that's what they're going to continue to come in and get. Like, is there one that is better than the others? I don't know.
So there's definitely. I kind of think of there's different kinds of customers that come into the store. There's people that are kind of just hunting nostalgia, which they're just going to specifically kind of have their own bias towards what they grew up with.
Right.
So that's going to be more kind of age dependent, I find. So if the Nintendo was really popular when you were at an age where you were playing it, then that's what you're going to look for. There's some people who are more collectors, so it kind of just depends on what they currently need, where the gaps are and what they're looking for, and there might be some overlap with that. And then there's people that maybe haven't played any of them, some of the younger crowd, and want to experience some of the older games they've never even heard of or seen, or the consoles. So it really depends. We definitely see a lot. Anything Nintendo older holds a lot of demand. It seems that they really have always found a way to keep the experience fresh, and it's not just kind of repeating the same stuff.
Even we were talking before we started the show today, and I had gone out, because of course they put out those new Nintendos now that you plug into the front of your TV that has I think it's 40 games built in or whatever. And I went out and got one of those for my husband for Christmas last year. And, it has some of your good, it has all the Super Mario Brothers, and it has the Zelda, and I don't like Link, so I'm not even gonna mention Link. Zelda was the best. But it has some of the ones that I really liked. It has a few that I really wish it doesn't have. Some of the ones I wish that it did. But even my 10-year-old has gotten into it because she really enjoys it. And I think it's because it's simpler too. You're only worrying about the up and the down and the A and the B, and you're not worrying about the left and the right and the zero. What is it? Like a triangle and a square and I don't even know what they have with all the others.
PlayStation,
yeah, they're all crazy.
All shapes.
So I think it's simpler to understand too with the Nintendo. But, again, I think you're right. There's different genres of people. Like my oldest son, he's Xbox all the way. Like, that's what he plays.
Right.
So now, do you have the option to, you carry the systems, you also carry games?
Yep.
Do you can people sell to you? Do you let people come in and bring games and things like that?
Absolutely. So that was actually probably one of the bigger catalysts initially when we started thinking about opening a brick and mortar. We were so eBay dependent, and I wasn't even thinking too much about selling in Lynchburg, but I was thinking of it would be great if we had a physical location where instead of me driving out to people's houses 6 at a time to try to find stuff, I could say, hey, bring it here. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we were excited about having the location is the availability for people to just bring their stuff. We price things out ahead of time if that's easier for people, if they take some pictures. But people will all the time just walk in, kind of like a pawn shop, although we say all the time we don't want to be a pawn shop. But yeah, that's we either offer cash, we bring in your stuff, or we can offer store credit if there's something you really have your eyes on and you want to get some money off towards it.
Right. Now, I know. So how do you base and you don't have to tell me if you don't, this might be a secret of the trade. I don't know. But how do you guys base what you give? I know there's times I've gone into GameStop and it's you get nothing. It's oh, we'll give you $1. And I'm like, what? Know? So is it kind of based off the market price and how old it is and how good of condition, all those sort of things?
So the way I think about it for the most part, the newer stuff doesn't necessarily apply, but once you get to where you can't readily find something just at a retailer, then it's what I would consider the secondhand market. And the value of items on the secondhand market, what I tell the guys, is exclusively determined by what someone is willing to pay for it.
Right.
So the way we determine our prices is we've been very involved in the market for a few years. So we have a very good grasp on what things are worth. And we just determine what the value is and then base how much we offer on that. So we just, there's some websites that we use and have some subscriptions to that automate some of that process for us, where we can type in the games and it says, okay, these are the average sales on these different sites. So you can get a kind of an easier snapshot of what something's worth.
Right.
But yeah, I'm very big into, I want to give people a fair offer. I want to offer as much as we're able to offer while still operating our business. Yeah. And I think the best way for us to do that, and the reason why GameStop maybe can't, is because we're small enough that we can be very intentional in accurately evaluating everything that we buy and sell.
Right.
So the challenge that a GameStop has is at the scale, they have thousands and thousands of employees, and teaching every one of them how do you determine how much this game is worth, or having a database that has every game and keeping up to date with the rotating prices on it, it can be pretty challenging. So it's easier for them to just have such a low bar that they know they're never really going to lose money on it.
I think too, and I'm going to be honest. And for those of you listening, just be honest with yourself. A lot of people have this overinflated idea of what something is worth
For
too.
sure. Yeah.
I love my mom and dad, but they're one of the ones, like, they'll have a yard sale. This is what kills me. They'll have a yard sale. Before they have the yard sale, they're on eBay looking at stuff like being sold. And like someone will come to the yard sale and my mom will say, oh, it's this much. And then they'll be like, oh, that's too expensive. Well, that's what it's going for on eBay. And I'm like, Mom, then put it on eBay.
Yep.
Like a yard sale's a yard sale for a reason. You're just trying to get rid of stuff. It isn't like a estate sale or like you're selling it online to whatever. But I think that's what a lot of people, I think that's a lot of the difference is people kind of overinflate what they think their stuff is worth. And then it tends to be an issue because then people are like, oh, these, people aren't giving me anything. Well, it's not, you're not going to give me $10 for something that you can only sell for $7.
Right.
Because then you lose money.
I think something that helps me on that aspect is being transparent with customers. And my mom always warns me against this because she's a little more paranoid about giving away some of our business practices. But I'm of the belief that I don't think what we're doing is a secret. I don't think we've unlocked any kind of hidden formula for success. I think that it's a lot of hard work. Mm-hmm. And I'm comfortable looking someone in the face and telling them every step of the way I did to make my business. Mm-hmm. You're welcome to try and outwork me. That's just how I think. So what I do if a customer thinks I'm trying to rip them off, I'll say, hey, I am going to sell this for this amount. So if someone brings in something and they're saying, hey, can you give me $60? I'd be like, I'm only going to sell it for 50. So there's no way I can offer you 60, obviously. And I think that speaks to people that they're, I'm willing to be honest with them that like, obviously I have to make a profit, but I'm not trying to fleece you. And that's just kind of the way it is.
I don't know how you got into my head today, but that's crazy because I just had one of the quotes in the small business retail workshop I was listening to this morning. And I thought this was a really good quote. And it said, if you are walking around worried about others stealing your ideas, then you obviously are not secure in your ideas.
Yep.
And so I thought that really, obviously if you're worried about other people stealing it, then you're not secure in what you're doing yourself.
Right.
Because if they can steal it that easily, then you're not doing your job.
Yep.
And so I think for you, that's wonderful that even if you tell everybody what you're doing, then you're secure enough in knowing that you're doing what you're doing correctly and you're not worried about competition.
I think that if capitalism is working correctly, then ultimately, when you're getting compensated, when you have a business that's generating revenue, you are getting compensated because you're adding value to someone's life. Mm-hmm. And a big way you do that is solve someone's problems. And anytime you're trying to solve someone's problems, it's just a lot of work. It's maybe not very complicated what a plumber does when he comes in and fixes your house, but it's extremely valuable because of the work that they put into it and the expertise that they bring, but it's not this big secret, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't know what to do if something broke in my house. I do, my husband does, but I sure enough don't. So tell me, is there anything else like with Press Start Tech and Games that we haven't covered that is something that the customer should know or those listening should, know when they walk in the store? Or is there anything that you guys sell that I haven't touched on?
There's a pretty cool service that we have that we've been trying to promote more recently. We have a professional disc cleaning for any disc-based games. So we have a professional, it's called a disc resurfacer. So most game discs, they kind of have a top layer and they get scratched and worn out. So a scratch, if you think about it, is really just something that's ground down on the top of the disc. But there's a little bit of buffer before you get to what's called the data layer of the disc. So we have something that kind of evens out the top of the disc and makes it look all new again and can take a game that doesn't work and repairs it. So we have a service where it's $5 per game to get them repaired. Okay. And we only we guarantee that your games will work. So if we run it through the machine and we can't get it running, then we're not going to charge you for it. And that's awesome. A pretty cool way to either, if you're a collector, you just want them to look all nice again, we certainly can do that. But also a way to maybe resurrect a $100 game you might have sitting in a closet that hasn't worked in a couple of years. We can get it working like new for you.
It's crazy. I'm on your Facebook page and I'm like, look at all the games I want to go get. Yeah. This is really awesome. Oh, you have a PS Vita. My son loved that because you can play like movies on that one. I think is that the one? I think it was a PS Vita that you could play like movies. They came out with the disc that had different movies.
I know the PSP.
That's it. The PSP. Yeah. See, that's what I don't know nothing about PlayStation. I just bought it. I just shipped the money out the door and let the kids play. But Yeah, you've got some great stuff here.
Another thing, something we're really proud of on the Facebook page is every Monday and Thursday we put update posts up of all the new stuff hitting the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
So we're happy to receive calls and answer questions that people are asking when we get new stuff in. But a great way to keep up with that is to follow the Facebook page, and then every single thing that's going to go on the shelves, we put in those photos. So there's something you're hunting for, you can see as soon as we put it out there.
Do you have now let me ask you this, if there's something that someone comes in and they're looking for and you don't have it in the store, do you actually look for it? Do you try and is there a way like someone can say, I'd really like to have this game? Is there something you can look for, or is it kind of more or less just what you come across?
So because of issues of kind of scaling, I don't officially offer that to say, hey, let me know what you want and I'll go out and find it. Because, when I have 100 people asking for that, it's just hard to keep track of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that what I do is if I hear people say, oh man, I wish you had this, I'll just go out and find it. Because I think, and then it'll be in the next update, because I think that's a great experience. If someone walks into a store, they say, I wish that you had this. And the next time they show up, you have that. So I definitely keep my ears open to what people are looking for, and then try to do the best I can to make sure it's available the next time they're there.
Okay, so I'm just going to let you know, I'm going to need, actually I've said Paperboy. I loved that game. I need Paperboy in my life. It always reminds me of that movie. What's that movie? Better Off Dead. Do you remember that movie with John Cusack? It is. It's Better Off Dead. And it has a little boy that's the Paperboy, and he's always driving after him saying he needs his $2. No, but see, I watch old school 80s movies. Look it up. It's a good movie.
I think we should have a copy.
Anyway, if you haven't watched Better Off Dead, go watch it. It's a great movie. And if you need Paperboy, don't go get it from Press Start if they only have one, because I'm going to. So for those listening that are wondering, where are you located? Let's talk about where they can come find you.
Yes, we are currently located on Route 221 in Forest, kind of right on the edge of the Forest Lynchburg kind of separation that I think about. The address is 18243 Forest Road. It's right across from the Terry Clearance Center. It's near the Graves Mill Shopping Center. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, if you're coming from Bedford, you pass the Graves Mill Shopping Center on your right, and it's in that next group of little businesses on the right after you pass Graves Mill Road. Okay.
And now you have a Facebook page. Do you have a website, or how can people get in touch with you if maybe they just want to call and say, hey, do you have this in stock, or how can they join that?
So the best way to stay in touch on a repetitive basis is our Facebook page. So that's Press Start TG on Facebook. It's also the same thing on Instagram as well. We do have a store number that you can call. So on the Facebook page, there's a message feature, and you can message the page directly, and then it goes to us. There's also a store number you can call or text at any time, which is 434-544-1199.
Awesome. Well, so thank you for telling us about Press Start. I highly encourage you guys, if you are looking for something that, maybe you've had in your past and you are looking for that nostalgia, like Ben said, or I love the idea of just being able to unwind. Although sometimes I feel like I'm sitting there like yelling at my TV, or, right. How the old school controllers that actually still link to the system, and you're like, you're making it move with you, like you're making him jump and you're jumping the controller. So anyway, I'm all excited because I want to go play Nintendo now. But I love being able to have, somewhere here that you can go and find something. So Press Start, Tech and Games, local business. Definitely go out and check out what they have. And if it's something that you need, or heck, even if you don't need it, you just want it, go get it. So thanks for coming on with me today. And I'm going to keep Ben around, because I'm going to be chatting with him and Woody about kind of a few things that I feel like moving, we're halfway through 2022, right? So how are you guys feeling about that? How's 2022 been? Been good? Yeah? No? What's so funny, Woody?
Nothing. Your transition is fantastic, because I was literally still thinking about Sonic 2 in my brain. And then, so it just in my head, I'm still like, I'm figuring out like I was thinking about the Cool Spot game that we had.
I mean, we can all take a minute to talk. If we need to think about our gaming systems for a second, let's do that.
I was kind of in game land. Like, I'm like, all right, so maybe if I had jumped here, I would have gotten, so I was still hung up on that. My bad. 2022 has been fantastic.
That's how I feel when I play Zelda, by the way. Let's just go back to that. I love Zelda.
I'm telling you, like
the original.
I will think back
Zelda.
now. Like, now I'm thinking about like maneuvers that I was doing that if I'd have done differently. Oh, well, I can't get up here. I can't do that. So Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, YouTube, like how to get through different things because I don't remember from
sometimes
back in the day. But anyway,
now the funny thing is like I agree with you that sometimes like there's supposed to be a stress release. They used to be for me.
mm-hmm.
Now it gives me anxiety if it's not an easy game. Like Mario is great for me because I know it.
Oh,
I've played it 1,000 times. It's like that can release stress.
I can beat the first Mario within 20 some. It's so easy.
I love it.
Like my daughter's just like, how in the world? Because I know where all the warp zones are, and you just roll through that thing.
But see, all right, so about right when COVID started, like things slowed down a little bit for just like a month, and I was like, well, I want a game, like I want one of the new consoles because I'll be home and I want to play and whatever. So I got the latest Xbox. I think the Xbox One or something. I can't remember the name of it. I got it, and I've played that thing twice. Like so, the game stressed me out. There's too many buttons now, and I can't my brain just doesn't function like that anymore. I need the side scrolling jump coin thing now. So that's why my love for vintage games has increased during COVID because it's like, okay, all right, I can do this. This doesn't take my whole, self to be invested. I could play this for 10 minutes and then I'm good.
Weird question, Ben. This goes back to your store, by the way. See, the transition didn't work. Now we're back at this. Do you remember back in the day, you used to could buy like the Nintendo, like the magazines that told you how to win different things. Do you have those there?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Nice.
That's what I needed to know.
We have
I needed my cheat sheet.
So there's a couple companies that made them. There's Prima was a really popular one. Prima Strategy Guides. Brady Games makes a bunch. We have a few of the really older ones called Nintendo Power. There's some they look old because they've been around for a while. But yeah, we try to get our hands of not necessarily collectibles, but stuff like that. Strategy guides are really cool.
Okay, fun. I just remember I used to read those a lot, and now with the little Nintendo game that I have that you plug in, I have to go online and like watch YouTubers going through it, and it's just really, I just don't have time for that. So I just rather read it. I'm old school. I don't have time for all the electronic part of it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I mentioned earlier, so we are part of we're actually members of a couple different organizations. We're members of AMIBA, which is the American Independent Business Alliance. We are members of the National Retail Federation. And then we also have a partnership with America Express, which hosts a lot of the Small Business Saturday. And they do a lot of small business workshops. And so about 2 weeks ago, they sent us a thing saying they were doing a free small business kind of forum class today. And we signed up for it. So starting at 9 this morning, I was listening in on the different breakout sessions that they had. And one of them that really struck me, and I thought, hey, this might be a really good topic to talk about today is, where we're going with your strategies for small business brands. Like, COVID 2 years ago, we see people now, like I've seen more people that have it now again. Like it seems to be kind of coming back around. But, again, it's kind of like the flu. You get the flu every year. So is it really what you would call a resurgence technically, or is it just now the normal? And that's what they were talking about was the new normal, because that's kind of what it has become. For people, we used to get tired of the word pivot. Now I'm getting tired of the new normal because you hear it all the time. Like, oh, that's just the new normal. When does it become the old norm? When does it just become normal again? Like that's what I want to know. When is it just normal? But they were talking about basically back in 2020, 71% of the workforce, was working from home, and still it's still about that same. A lot of people have still they're still working from home. They're still, being able to work virtually and not have to go into an office. And they were talking about, how 4.5 million quit their jobs and either went into business for themselves, or they're not working. I don't know what they're doing, but not working. They brought up telehealth. Like that was something new, and that has now become normalized. People just call in and like, hey, here's what's going on. You do a face-to-face visit. I don't really see how that works. I did that once and I felt really dumb because I'm like, here, I don't feel good. And then somebody asked me, I was like, they can't take my blood by phone. Like, how can you tell if I have this? You know, you can't just look at me and tell. But
I know it's a lot more common with a lot of more mental health services.
Yes.
A little less physical.
Yeah. Which, I mean, and then I think that's great. I think that's a great option to have for someone, especially with the way mental health is nowadays. You know, I think it's extremely important. So having the televisits for that, just knowing that you can reach out to somebody is, I think that's a definite benefit to what has come out of COVID. But it's kind of, they were talking about, it's time to start reevaluating, you know, what you want for your business. And I know there are some businesses that are coming back and saying, you know what, you got to come back to the office. You know, you got to quit sitting at home. And my thought is, like, how productive are you really being? I know a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm so much more productive at home. I am not. I'm going to tell you that right now. Heather is not more productive at home. When I am at home, my bed is still hanging out there. So, like, I'll be like, oh, I'll work for 10 minutes and I'll be, oh, I'm just going to take like a 15-minute nap. 2 hours later, Heather's like, oh, let's go, you know, back in there and work. And then I have, you know, my daughter who's wanting to do things, and then I don't have good internet. So, you know, it's crazy. It's just not good. It's not good for me. So I need to be in the office. I need to be in front of people. That's the other thing. People person. So, it's kind of like, what are some things that are important that were important during the pandemic that are not so important now? And I know one of the things we were talking about was like Zoom, like online stuff. You kind of see that taking a back seat now. People are tired. They're getting Zoom fatigue, where they're just tired of having to clock in for a meeting and, you know, worry about what they look like in, you know, on a call.
Right.
So have you guys, like, what are some things you guys can think of that are a little bit different now than 2020 that are kind of going away? Like, people are just tired of it.
I'm kind of glad the Zoom meetings are going away, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And no offense to those who have had me on Zoom meetings. I'm not making fun of you, but like 90% of them could have been an email. Like, I think everybody was in the beginning.
Yeah.
They just wanted to meet, and it was new, and it was like, oh, look, we're doing this thing. And then it's funny because once the wave gets back to, okay, this is not new anymore. Business is business. We need to make a living and we got to get stuff done. I think you start to see the efficiency come back into play. I think I think there's like just a newness, even in something like a pandemic. There's just a newness to everything that people want to explore, want to do, and then after a while, it's like that just doesn't work. But then granted, on the other side of that, talking on the other side of my mouth, is that it has shown me as a very small business owner that I think a hybrid situation can absolutely work for certain businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have a brick and mortar, it really can't work. But also, like, you know, if you have your own eBay store, like he said, I mean, that's fantastic. I think business owners are resourceful. But like for mine, a hybrid environment works best because I know me as a business owner, I have a hard time staying put for like more than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're lucky we get through this podcast.
Lucky,
He didn't get up and walk out.
And back when I did have a 9 to 5, I remember, like, again, all my former employers, if you're listening, I apologize. I just remember the time that I thought I was working and how much work actually got done. It is not near as much as you think. Like, I just remember, especially working at the Y. I mean, there were maybe like a good block of an hour where work got done. The other time was just talking to people stopping by your desk,
Mm-hmm.
doing this, walking over here, doing this, doing that. And it's like when you really break down the amount of work, unless it is an industry where you are in labor or, you know, like you're out doing things that physically have to be done, or you have your own brick and mortar. I think that, you know, there are circumstances where an employer can kind of evolve and do some of the things that were introduced or made mainstream during COVID that they weren't doing before. Because I know for me, I think what happened during COVID as well is that people got a little taste of freedom too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think everybody for so long can get used to working a 9 to 5, work. And then all of a sudden things kind of slow down just for a little bit. And you were able to have some flexibility. Like you said, if you wanted to take a nap in the middle of the day, it wasn't the end of the world. I think once you get a taste of that, it is extremely difficult to go back to being locked down and at a desk or answering the phone. So I think it's just, it depends on the business. But I mean, I appreciate the hybrid now. Like I appreciate before, if you would have asked me 3 or 4 years ago, I said, absolutely not. You need to be at your desk. You need to do this. This is where I need to be. And then now it's like, yeah, you know what? No, I think there's just more to it. And I think each business has its own system they need to work out.
Yeah. And we're going to talk a teeny bit about the hybrid part of it. So they were talking about, there are 5 big cultural shifts going on right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk about, so the first one they were talking about is going from the cult of work to the culture of work, not the cult. We're not in a cult. Sorry. Excuse me.
It's the worst cult to join.
Cult of work.
There's a lot
Everybody
more fun
quit that
cults
cult
out there.
That's it. I'm done.
Sorry. Don't join a cult. Don't.
Put my outro music on. We're out.
Put a disclaimer on this episode.
So, the culture of work versus the anti-work culture, which is kind of where we're at now, where, like you just said, Woody, back, before 2020, you went to work, you were at your desk, you were there. But the anti-work culture they're talking about is where people have actually started reassessing their own time, their own worth. Yeah. Like, what is your time worth versus, how is the business treating you? How is the place that you're working for? How is that treating you? Because a lot of people, when they went home, they realized, I can still do my job and I can still have time for myself and my family. And it doesn't have to be 8 hours stuck at a desk. Like, so what is my time actually worth? Yeah. And you're seeing more, businesses that now are needing to, honor their workers better in their time and figure out a kind of a good balance of that and helping them to move forward. I know one of the things that we were talking about is, and you hear a lot of businesses, okay, they promote from within, and that's great. But are you as a business owner or if you're out there and you own a business, let's just put it this way, or you're a manager of a large business, what are you doing to encourage your workers to actually step outside of the box? To the ones that maybe want to start their own business eventually, how are you teaching them? Like, how are you helping them to become more than just your business? So does that make sense?
Yeah. And, because you think about like the people in this room. And even like Brandon, who was here earlier today, right? Mm-hmm. So like Brandon's business, everybody can't work remote. You know what I mean? Like you got to have people out in the field doing repairs that are on the job. But he does things where he shows his appreciation to his employees through time, through. I mean, randomly you'll see on his social media, like once every couple of weeks, he'll have breakfast out for his guys. Mm-hmm. And, they make a very welcoming culture in that environment. And I think that, and then you come over here to the 3 of us, each one of us has a different type of business. And I think that businesses really are going to have to take a look at what's best for their situation. And I agree. I think that you do need to value your employees. And I don't miss, because I've worked both. I've worked very backbreaking jobs. And then I've had, self-employed where I get to make my own schedule. And being from both sides, there is more to life than just working 8 till whenever. But as a small business owner, you also know that you're never really off the clock. So it's not like you get a break, but you love what you do more. So gosh, there's so many factors. I don't think there's a piece that fits everybody, but I do think that this way can be taken advantage of very easily by people that don't want to work.
Right.
So it's tricky. It's tricky for business owners. It's such a weird,
well, and it's kind of like, okay, like for Ben, like, I'm sure you don't have a ton of staff, but it's even valuing your own time. Like, how do you even do that? How do you start assessing what your own time is worth and still be able to run a business, and make it profitable?
Right. So I have 2 full-time employees with me. And I think that for me, and again, I say how I don't want to just go straight into like big corporate businesses do this wrong because I think they have challenges that I don't because of scale. But I think one of the things that I can take advantage of at my small scale is having a very human relationship with my employees.
Yes. And
they know Ben, the person, not Cosner Sales LLC, the business. And it's kind of being worthy of their commitment. They see the effort that I put in, and just having that personal relationship with them. You know, I've told each of my guys, like, I don't want this job to be your life. You have families, you have a home, you have other things that I'm sure you'd rather be doing. You can enjoy being here, but it's still a job. And I want you to think of it as a job. And, you know, I want you to get out of it what you need. Like, I don't want you to have to struggle to work for me.
Right.
To have that. And I've had conversations with each of them, but also tell them, again, being transparent with your paycheck and the benefits that you get and the things you get from this job come directly from the sales. And, you know, if we're too aggressive on how much we pay ourselves and what we take from the business and the business dies, well, then none of us have jobs.
Yeah.
And to make them a part of that process, you're like, okay, like, you know, if someone comes and asks for a raise, for example, be like, okay, you know, let's talk about what that looks like, but, you know, here's what the budget looks like. And, you know, if I pay you too much, then eventually you won't make any money because the business can't survive.
Right.
And bringing them into the process where they understand it's not just I'm greedy and I want to pay you as little as I can, but to say the more we can sacrifice and the more we can invest in this business that it can grow in the long run, it'll be worthwhile for all of us. And that I'll, you know, reward you and bring you along with me along the way as we grow as well.
I think that's super smart. And I know not every business can just go, oh, hey, here's our budget and here's what our financial situation looks like. But, you know, it is good for your employees to realize, like, here's what I have to bottom line. Like, this is what has to come in for us to even keep you here.
Right.
Like, not so much even give you a raise, but, you know, we're not just in here, you know, Ben's not back there just, you know, rolling around in money and cash, like throwing it in the air.
No.
You know, that's not what's happening. So the next train likes to come through when I'm talking, but the next one, and we've already kind of touched on this, is living life a la carte versus life by subscription. So, you know, a lot of people with COVID, they started subscribing to everything. You know, you had subscriptions to Zoom. Netflix jumped up because people were working from home, and, you know, like me, we're watching Gilmore Girls or whatever they decided, you know, they wanted to binge watch that week. And, you know, now it's kind of exploring the potential of breaking away from some of that stuff that's kind of costing you money that you don't need. And B, kind of, you know, kind of streamlining what you do need and working just by need versus, you know, having to have all these things. So that's kind of a self-explanatory one. I don't guess, you know, you really need to harp on that one too much.
But you know, the funny part of that is that I guarantee you in a couple of years, you're going to have another service come around that groups these services together. Because, like, I mean, while it's fine for, like, if you're a Disney fan to have Disney Plus or not, there's just after a certain while, like, you like different things from different platforms, and it's so hard to you know, it's like you look, you're like, oh God, I'm paying for 20 different services, but I like one thing off of each one.
And there you go. And so here's the thing: you used to have DirecTV, or you used to have Dish Network, okay? And then people complained, oh, I'm paying hundreds of dollars for this, so I'm just going to get
to the same amount.
Yes, so I'm just going to get Netflix. But then you're like, oh, well, Netflix isn't playing this, so now I got to have Hulu, and then oh wait, now I have to have Prime Video. Oh nope, hold on, now I need, what is it, Peacock and
Paramount Plus,
Disney Plus, you know, HBO Prime. I mean, I could sit here and name off, and I don't have subscriptions to all of these, but add all that up, folks. If you have all of that, go back to Dish, go back to DirecTV, really, for gracious sakes. It's you're not getting nothing from it.
Well, there's an aspect of, you know, I think cable showed there's a certain amount that the market is willing to pay. And it's going to work itself out to that same number. Like if a household is willing to pay $150 for cable, the streaming services aren't going to leave that money on the table. So over time, they're going to bump it up till average together, you're paying about $150 per month.
Right.
That's just the way, because the market's not just going to leave that money sitting there. That's just the way it works.
I mean, I can see the plus being, okay, yes, you can go watch something whenever you want versus it just being on TV. But you know what? Let's go back to the old school. Get a DVD player, like get a VHS, record that junk. Yep. Let's go back to VHS tapes. Like, that's what we need. Then, like, the third shift was, and this is where I was kind of getting into the hybrid, Woody. It's from brick and mortar to, and I have not heard this term before until today, I can't even say it. Physidigital. It's like physical and digital pushed together.
Okay.
Phygital. That's it. Phygital.
Okay.
We're gonna pretend that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Phygital destination. So combining of the two, of having a brick and mortar and then combining the physical and the digital, which is kind of what you guys are doing with having a brick and mortar, but also having the eBay store that you can sell out of as well. And you can reach a bigger clientele than just those here in, the Lynchburg region. And I think you're going to see more people that are doing that because e-commerce became very big when everything kind of shut down.
I think something that Amazon has showed over the last few years is that customer service is extremely important. But I think if they need to choose between the two, people have shown that they will choose convenience over customer service if it's like they have to pick one. So I think customer service is very important, but I think that the e-commerce is so powerful and marketable because it's the most convenient option.
Yeah.
And that's something that we work towards in the store. And what I've been saying with the guys over the last couple months as we iron out some of the kinks is what I call we're reducing friction in the process. I have a pet peeve, whether it's online or in store. I don't like it I get frustrated if it's difficult for me to give the company my money.
Yeah.
Like the purchasing process should not be difficult or frustrating in any way. That's ridiculous. So we've been trying to find areas in the store that we can make it as convenient as possible, and also digitally as well. So if they're connected between the two, to make it as frictionless and smooth as possible, so that they can kind of coexist and not hurt each other.
Yeah, so that's, they're saying if you're out there, find a good opportunity to leverage both sides of it.
Right.
The brick and mortar and the online. If you're able to do that with your business right now, that's kind of where that shift is headed. Now the other shift, and this is my favorite shift as of right now, is you're shifting, so captivating a local customer, but also, liberating it from e-commerce, like getting them local, getting them back into the stores. And the shift is to really push shopping locally, community focus, and giving the consumer a choice, but also by having that e-commerce part of it to you. So, I think that's a huge thing that we've seen come out of it. I see a lot of people now really pushing more for the local small business versus these, like you were talking about, the large businesses that you have, your Walmarts, your Targets, all of that, because I think they have seen how much, stuff like the shutdown really affected small business and, the need to keep it in our community. So, I think that's a really great shift to see, is the people moving more towards that local. And I'm all about that. And then lastly, the last shift is from the hustlepreneurship to the battle against burnout. So where people were really trying to come up with all these ideas, they were trying to be like these entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and now they're burnt out. You're kind of like, how do you battle, being burnt out from trying to do too much, I guess. And kind of sitting there saying, like, why? Why are you burned out? What is your why to actually be doing what you're doing versus it being something that just drains you? So, it's like Woody over there. He's over there like, all I need to do is capture Bigfoot and we'll be good. That's his why.
That's my why.
That's Woody's why. But,
that's what keeps me going, Heather.
Yeah. And, I have a lot of people that ask me, like, in particular, because we do a lot. We do a lot of events. We do a lot of things that keep me constantly on the move, whether it's networking or just trying to figure out new ways to help our membership or to help small business, to larger events. And I get a lot of people that ask me, like, how are you not just exhausted, burnt out, And there are days that I am. There are days I really go, what in the world am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I spending, getting up at 2:00 in the morning on the day of Centerfest out here marking roads with sidewalk chalk? Like, I would much rather be in my bed. Believe me, I definitely would. But, I have to really sit back and readjust my why. Why am I doing it? Maybe my why is different than why I was doing it a year ago. And I think that's what you kind of got to look at, is how have you shifted, or how can you shift to make it more beneficial for you so you're not being burnt out? Does that, how do you guys feel about that?
I think the work I found during initially, not even because of COVID, when I first started doing the whole eBay thing, was one of the challenges I had from working at home, is not having that separation between work and being home. And even when we were in the office, because our business is so online, I can go home but still get messages from people that saying, hey, I want to buy this, or like, hey, here's a sale. It took me a good year and a half to not immediately have to like feel like I need to look at my phone every 10 minutes to see, oh, maybe this customer is upset, and just accept that, if a customer has a problem at 7 p.m. and they're mad because I didn't get back at them until 8 a.m. the next morning, that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah. I actually had to put one of those do not disturbs on my phone to keep me from having messages come through. And my husband actually gets on me a lot because I turn off my notifications. It doesn't ding every time someone sends me a message. It doesn't ding every time I get a Facebook post. And he's always like, well, if you had, your sound on, you'd know when people are contacting you. I have my sound off because I don't want to know. Exactly. I don't want to know. And I'm sorry if sometimes you slip through the cracks, like when he calls or he messages me. But for my sanity, I can't sit there and have every single person like ding, ding, ding. I can't even, it'd drive me nuts. I'd already be like in a little loony bin sitting over there, like, cringing whenever somebody rang a bell or something dinged. But I think you're right. That was one thing I found when working from home was it was hard to get the stuff done. And then, your kids are bugging you, you're doing this, and then you completely get off track. But so those are kind of the 5 culture shifts that they are seeing right now where we're kind of moving, from and to. And so, if you've been listening in today, or, if you pull this up later after you have subscribed to Talk Local to Me on grovestreet.fm.
And review, subscribe.
And review. Yes, share. Review. I'm trying to beat Woody. I need people to review. Let's talk about this. Review. That's the culture shift we're going to move from today. Just listening to reviewing. Talk Local to Me.
5-star reviews only though.
I need all of them so that I can beat Woody. No, I'm in the Dubai podcast list. So we're going through Dubai.
In Singapore.
In Singapore. So anyway, but if you're listening today and something has kind of struck you that we've talked about, like, hey, this is what I'm going through, sit back and kind of think about it. Look at those, what it's shifting from and what it's shifting to, and how that's affecting your business, and how you can kind of can work at fixing that or moving along with that shift. So thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Ben, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Woody, thank you as always for joining in. And listen in next week to Talk Local to Me, and we will have some more great guests and some more fabulous words of wisdom for you.